Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2025 Suzuki V-Strom 650. So let's get all the negatives out of the way. The 800 is better, this one needs a new dash, it needs LED signal lights, it needs to be updated, yada, 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 yada. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, this is still a very good bike in 2025. Now, if you need something like a TFT dash, this doesn't have it. If you need a quick shifter, this doesn't have it. Those things are available on the 800. The 800 exists for a reason, for people who want the latest and greatest. A little bit more suspension travel. It is a little heavier as well, and it does offer you a different seating position, but this 650, if it were released today with a couple minor updates, would still be a very, very good class competitive bike. So, if you can handle the couple things that aren't new, updated headlight would be one. This bike is really good, and that's what we're going to talk about in this review. I'm actually still a fan of this bike, and you know, I would probably buy the 800, but the 800 is more expensive, and this thing has been rock solid reliable, has a huge aftermarket support, and it's just something that works for so many people. So, before we get into it, I'm filming here at McLean Sports. They give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup, and I want you to know on this channel, even though this isn't new, I will be covering every single 2025 that I possibly can. So if that intrigues you at all, of every brand that I can get, make sure you hit the subscribe button. McLean's is awesome. They have these bikes in stock right now. They're letting me have a go at everything I want. So anything you want to see, I'll be able to get on this channel, and hopefully that's good for you. If you want to help me out, best thing you can do with my videos, just watch to the end. Makes a big difference. The more I can grow this channel, the more access I have, the more things we can do. Should be fun. All right, let's get going with this review. So let's place this 650 in a class. Obviously, it is an adventure bike at core, but in this base level model, it's a little bit less adventure-y. So there are pieces and parts here that you are not gonna wanna take on a full off-road adventure without dressing it up. However, if you move to the XT model, that will also get you a little bit more adventure. So that's, again, a small step up. As it is, if we look at a class, a lot of people will say it competes directly with the Versys 650 from Kawasaki, and that's a bike that I owned and absolutely loved. In my mind, that is a hair sportier and definitely an on-road only bike. Tires, wheels, a lot of reasons that is what it is. This one can graduate up in the trim lines to a fairly decent adventure tourer, as long as your adventure touring doesn't involve, you know, massive jumps or huge suspension travel, because it's still got sort of that in-between suspension. It's better than you need for the road, but it's not quite good enough for some people's off-road adventures. For someone like me, who wants to go down every road, every country road, and a lot of the dirt roads, this bike is good. Although again, I would probably move up to the XT for that, but that's personal preference. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at this base model, talk about what's on it, what you can get from there. We'll go through it bit by bit, and we'll help you decide if it's right for you. So starting at the front wheel to take a look at the manufacturer's intent for this bike, you can see right off the bat you've got some good things going for you. You've got some large disc brakes, the floating calipers there, and you've got two of them. Of course, they're ABS on this, so ABS obviously important on any bike, more important to me on an adventure bike. You know, nothing too crazy here. You do have the alloy wheels as opposed to the spoked wheels. So again, not the best for off-road, but again, for going down gravel roads, that kind of thing, which is what this bike as equipped is probably capable of doing. That's really good. Standard suspension here, nothing too crazy. Again, just works. And then you have the Bridgestone Battle Axe Adventure tires, the A40F or 40F. Yeah, so you have you know, essentially an on-off-road tire. Now these are primarily on-road, but they do give you more tread for heading down a little bit of off-road, that kind of thing. If you get a little bit of dirt in there, it's gonna clear some of that out when you head back to the roads. So again, everybody on adventure bikes hates the stock tires because everybody has their own opinions of what should be there. But I think if you take a look at what this bike was designed for, again, we're looking at the manufacturer's intent. Primarily on-road, certainly rough roads, dirt roads, this is gonna work fine. And in a segment, in a market segment now, where you know, the market is clamoring for more and more small, lighter weight adventure bikes, this bike should be on your list if you're considering those lesser displacement bikes, because this is definitely highway capable. It's generally got better braking. It comes with a lot of things you need, and for most people, it's gonna give them everything they need on and off road. So again, nothing crazy here, nothing fancy, but it is what you need to get out there and have fun, and it works, and it's been reliable. All right, let's move back to the heart of this bike. So taking a look at the heart of this bike, this is the 650 V-twin engine. Now this is the 90-degree V-twin engine, twin cylinder. The competitors to this are generally parallel twins. This is going to give you a little bit more torquey engine, a little bit more characterful engine, and it's just going to be kind of fun. Is it super sporty? No, it's not. But again, it's bigger than some of those 450s out there. So you've got some, you know, an engine that just goes for days and days, goes for years and years. This is an engine that has been uber reliable in the motorcycle industry. So that's a good thing. Now, as equipped, I wouldn't take it too far off-road because you've got your oil filter hanging down low. You can get crash plates and bash plates for this bike, whether it's aftermarket, whether it's Suzuki, whether you move up the trim lines, whatever you want to do. If you're going to go too far off-road, I would protect this area. But you can do that because, again, this bike was designed with off-road in mind. So as equipped, just be aware, this is a very road-going location for a oil filter. You're going to want to protect that up. But again, relatively low seat height. Again, this is not meant to go crazy off-road. You still don't have a ton of ground clearance, but you have enough ground clearance to do all the things if you consider it to be an on-road, all-road kind of bike. And I say all-road including gravel and dirt roads, again, with a little bit of protection down there. You do have rubber padding on the foot pegs here, and again, the typical steel-only brake pedal there. The seating position on this bike is really comfortable, and that's a good piece of this bike. So let's take a look at that right now. So if we think of this bike as more of an all-road than off-road bike, you can start to see how this is a really practical bike. First of all, a lot of adventure bikes have really tall seats. The other day we looked at the Tenere. It had more of a dirt bike style seat, and it was definitely higher, as was the rest of the bike. This is a 20-liter fuel tank, so that's a huge fuel tank for a fairly efficient bike. One thing you're going to notice is, although the bike isn't that high, it does have a fairly wide seat. It kind of bows your legs out just a little bit when you're standing. So that's part of why it's a little hard for me to get my heels to the ground. I'm about 6 feet tall, but it is by no means a tall feeling bike or an intimidating feeling bike. I can very much lean it to one side to get a foot completely flat and feel fully in control. So again, it may feel taller than it looks initially, but it's not intimidating. So it's one of those bikes you have to sit on, and even if you're a shorter rider, I think you're going to be quite comfortable on this bike. Now, seating position, again, if you think of this as sort of an all-road adventure touring bike, the seat's very good. The seat for a stock bike is definitely oriented to give you a sit-down position that is very comfortable, that you can ride for a long time. One of the things I really appreciate about this bike compared to the 800 is the 800 has a smaller windscreen and it's quite a ways in front of you. Now this is the stock windscreen. You can obviously change those things out. There's all kinds of accessories of every kind for this bike. But as it sits, it gives you pretty good wind protection. You could get the handguards and have sort of full wind protection. You can put heated grips on this thing and drive this thing in cold, cold weather. And that's kind of the thing with this bike. You can go on an adventure, head down any road, head down any country road, head down all the rough, unfinished, not so great roads, including dirt roads, and be comfortable. And you can go places you've never been before, knowing that as long as it's a road, you're going to be perfectly fine and perfectly comfortable. The other thing I should mention is the rear seat is a very good size here, which is going to serve you well for luggage as well as a passenger. If you want to take a passenger on this bike, you can. To me, if you're doing really long tours, the 650 just loses some playfulness with a second passenger, but it does have enough pep to take someone out for a weekend, take somebody out for a ride. If you're doing a really long tour, I would say, especially if you're doing a lot of highways, keep that second passenger off and you're going to be happier. But this is fully capable of doing it. This is not so weak that it can't take a passenger and luggage. It's just, you know, like a lot of bikes, it's designed to take a passenger, in my mind, for a weekend trip, a little, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and they'll be comfortable. But a full tour, this is a great solo bike for that. Now, overall, good position of controls. We'll show you that in a second, but let's show you some of the luggage area just as is, and then we'll move into the dash area here. So taking a look at the one-piece seat, I normally film it from this angle, not from the angle that you're looking at, because you can kind of see the width of it. And it is nice and wide. It's got a lot of space there. The rear seat is very large and wide. But the reason I'm showing you this angle here is I want to show you just below here. On the upper level models, you can get hard luggage attached, and you can see those attachment points are still here. So if you buy this bike, don't put any luggage on it. If in the future you want to go aftermarket or Suzuki options or accessories, you can do that. But if you just leave it as is, a good adventure bike should have a rack, and relatively level with that rack, it should have the seat. Now there is a little lip up here that you can't always see that just holds your passenger in place. But if you just had a duffel bag from day one, something sitting in your closet since you were a teenager or something, You could put your luggage on here from day one and go camping. You put your tent on there, you can strap stuff to there. If you get soft luggage, hard luggage, it's all gonna strap on here. You can even see the little tie down areas. There's a little piece right here, that little tooth right there. We'll zoom in just a little bit. Actually, let's zoom in a long ways. We'll show you both of them here. Sorry, poor camera work, but you can sort of see, I don't know if we can get the focus right. There's a little tooth there, there's a little tooth right here. So again, you have areas that you can just tie down your stuff without paying for expensive luggage, and you can go on an adventure, go on a tour the second you take this bike. If you have a passenger, they've got good hand grips as well, which is nice to have. But again, it's already set up from the factory for longer trips, including heading onto a relatively easy off-road. Like I said, more of an all-road than an off-road bike. Let's take a look at the dash now. So the first thing I want to show you is just over here, there is a 12 volt port. It has a sticker on it, says 12 volt, 35 watts. So whoops, you can definitely have a GPS accessory. We're going to talk about a GPS accessory in a second because I do think that that is a very useful piece on this bike, and we'll talk about why. Let's turn the dash on here. No big fancy TFT display, but it's everything you need. You've got a gear indicator up here beside your speedometer. So speedometer there, gear indicator there. A lot of information down here, air temperature, traction control information. You've got a clock, you've got other things, and you can cycle through various information on here in the controls. So basic display for sure. Now, if you have a basic display, and again, clear to read tachometer, again, say what you want about dial style gauges, but they are incredibly easy to read no matter what the weather is. So if you have a basic display, what I recommend doing on this bike is spending the money and buying a decent GPS. The GPS is going to give you a lot of the connection things that a dash today on a more modern bike would have. Again, this is still a 2025, but if you think about adding a GPS wherever you want to add it, up above the windshield, down here, wherever you want to add it, a lot of those modern GPSs give you phone connectivity. They can allow you to receive your messages and phone calls and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to get a GPS anyways, I mean, you could certainly mount your phone here, plug it in, but if you get a GPS type thing, then you have, whether you have phone signal or not, you've got good mapping and that kind of thing. If you just do that, your phone connectivity or your GPS connectivity essentially gives you most of what you're not getting from the dash. So yes, you may want to look at a white background or a dark background, adaptable TFT dash, but at the end of the day, if you just throw a good GPS or a good phone on here, you're going to get a lot of the information you would get on a fully modern bike, and you have to accept that, hey, it's just not coming from the main dash. That's what I would do to keep this bike up to date and accept the fact that you're getting what you're getting. It's maybe not as up to date as some other bikes, but it can give you all the function that you want. All right, let's take a look at the controls now. Control side here, you've got your flash to pass, and you can lock on your high beams right there. Nice clickiness to that, so you definitely know you've turned it on or off. Obviously, you can see that with at night, that kind of thing, but if you can feel it with gloves, if you're just trying to get someone's attention, that kind of thing. And then you've got sort of fully modern controls here, so very simple stuff, easy to work, signals and horn down there. This bike does not have one thing that I would like it to have, which is four-way flashers. To me, an adventure bike should have hazard warning lights, four-way flashers. It does not have that. It is what it is. The opposite side is a kill switch and a start switch, and that's it. But over here, again, simple controls, simple, easy to use. No cruise control or anything like that. That's also the case for the 800. So, you gain some stuff moving up, but you don't gain everything moving up. And overall, like I said, riding position is very good. Clutch feels, nice and normal, not a super light or super heavy clutch. So all the feel of all the controls, very good. So let's deal with the controversy that is now on this bike, because everything is moving to a, LED lighting, that kind of thing. One thing I will say about these halogen lights is because they are so large, they do give you some visibility. You've got that big light that comes on for your high beam there, so you can definitely draw some attention to yourself with them. Some people don't like this small LED lights. I do prefer them, but again, this is what you get. Still 2025. If you don't like it, this isn't the bike for you, but if you can handle that, there you go. That's everything you need. You can always, of course, add LED accessory lights. This bike is capable of taking those kinds of things, so you have options. So one of the reasons I enjoy reviewing these bikes that are unchanged every single year is because you have to compare it to what's going on in the marketplace today. And in the marketplace today, there are a number of smaller engined adventure bikes from all sorts of manufacturers that are trying to compete with a less expensive option. Now, this one's brand new. It's still decently priced for a brand new adventure bike. You can buy these things used. I'm not telling you what to do, although, there are certainly advantages to buying new because oil changes, you don't have to worry if you buy used, have the oil change been done, has it been abused, has all kinds of things going on. New brakes, new tires, new everything. That's a good advantage. But I will say that as adventure bikes in the general motorcycling world become smaller, this is a bike that should be on your list. It's far more comfortable. It's got a known reliability record. You're not cooking a tiny engine on the highway. This thing can run highway speeds, country roads, whatever. If you want to take a passenger, you've not only got more space, you've got more torque. And again, aftermarket accessories have been out for this thing forever. So as you graduate onto different types of riding with a bike like this, you can add accessories for years and years to come. This is still a good bike with some out-of-date features, but I think when you look at the core of it, what do you want on a motorcycle? If you want something that you want to dream about the motorcycle every night, then yeah, maybe this isn't the top one you should get. Maybe that 800 with all the newer specs, quick shifters, stuff like that, drive modes, all that. Maybe that's something you want. But if you want a motorcycle where you can dream about the trip, the destination, where you can go, and know that you're going to get there, this is absolutely still a great bike for you. And again, I would buy this bike. The problem I have with this bike is that the 800 exists. And the 800 does give you all those newer things that I personally like, along with a little bit more suspension travel and a couple other features that I really like. It's hard for me to decide on this with the 800 existing, but if you want to save some money and you're just all about the destination and the joy of motorcycling, by all means, this bike is still extremely competitive in 2025. Thanks everybody for watching. Once again, you can see this bike at McLean Sports, and if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, do that. We got a lot more coming on this channel. We'll talk to you in the next one.